first segment of the news is brought to you by KFC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Akushala Pindo with your JCN News. It's great having you with us. 2 years ago, thousands of Bahamians headed to the polls, marked their X, and elected the government of their choice. When the results were tallied and recounted, the overwhelming winner was the Progressive Liberal Party. And despite the challenges the Christie-led administration has faced over the past 2 years, its leader said he is no doubt satisfied. We get more in this report from our Greg Smith.
He admits the challenges his government has faced since assuming office 24 months ago. Unemployment is still at an unacceptable level, crime, though down, remains high, and the much-touted mortgage relief plan was a bust. All that aside, Prime Minister Perry Christie says he's satisfied with what's been accomplished thus far.
Firstly, we're elected for 5 years. And so in the context of grades, I'm grading performance in the context of what I know we have achieved, and invariably people are not aware of the extent to which I can now speak. I'm happy with my ministers. We've had our challenges. So I'm happy with my crew. Now I'm not going to give A, B, C, D, and G. That's not for me. I'm happy because I believe that we are to serve the Bahamian people, and we are serving them, I think, as best we can up to this point.
Flanked by his cabinet during a special press conference on the eve of his party's overwhelming victory at the polls, Mr. Christie ran on to condemn the opposition, who harshly rated the government's 2-year performance as nothing short of lackluster.
You're talking about the party that got beaten. You're talking about ministers one by one who were toppled. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about a party that is scrapping right now. I find it absolutely amazing. Lackluster? We are working hard. We're having dramatic results. And of course, the FNM shouldn't just say it. They should get up in Parliament where we can answer back. Right? There's no muttering on this. We are accountable for all that we do. And I want you to look around the table, each one of us here. Each one of us will be able to stand on their own feet, on our own feet. And we are very comfortable with that. And we are going to keep on going.
The Prime Minister promised that his government will continue working to produce more jobs. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Greg Smith.
Now, State Minister for Finance Michael Halkitis said one of the reasons the government's mortgage relief plan didn't do so well is because of the high levels of indebtedness of thousands of Bahamians who are stuck in what he calls scandalous loan agreements. Ianthea Smith reports.
According to Minister Halkitis, many applicants to the mortgage relief plan did not qualify, not solely because the program was a bad one, but because so many Bahamians are being gypped out of their money. During Cabinet's report to the nation yesterday, Minister Halkitis told the press that as the government further assessed the plan, one thing became increasingly noticeable, that thousands of Bahamians are throwing their monies into the proverbial black hole.
As we moved through the process and the whole process of qualification began, what became apparent that was not even apparent to the banks was the level of indebtedness of individuals, particularly consumer loans. And so we found that notwithstanding the good faith efforts of the Clearing Banks Association and of the government, very few individuals were able to qualify under that system.
Mr. Halkitis says it was through this process that the government uncovered some scandalous lending practices.
So it brought to light to us the really scandalous nature of consumer lending and lending practices, not only by some commercial banks but by unregulated lenders, which we are addressing. The issue of the level of debt unknown even to the banks. And so we will be progressing with the implementation of a credit bureau so that more information can be shared amongst financial institutions.
Despite the plan's failure, he assured that the government is moving to introduce legislation in this regard to protect those in need. It's also expected that talks with the Clearing Banks Association will be an ongoing process. In fact, the minister says the Christie administration is committed to seeing it to fruition, particularly as it's a part of the government's charter for governance. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Ianthea Smith.
Well, in an all-out assault on the Christie-led administration, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis last night scolded the government for what he called its abysmal failure, one that he says has led to misery for tens of thousands of Bahamians. In fact, Dr. Minnis, who was addressing hundreds of FNM supporters who turned out to the party's Mackey Street headquarters for a mass rally last evening, is convinced that thanks to the Progressive Liberal Party government, the Bahamas is becoming a laughing stock.
Failure to act on rising crime. Failure to produce jobs. Failure to deliver on their promises. Fire them, throw them out. So, they must consider it a masterful achievement that they have delivered on virtually none of their promises to the Bahamian people.
Checking off a laundry list of the government's failures over the past 24 months, Dr. Minnis condemned the PLP for everything from the country's double-digit unemployment rate to its unabated crime wave. And this particularly in light of the recent spate of murders here in the capital, a number of which have taken place in inner-city areas like the Farm Road and Baintown constituencies, which are represented by the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, respectively.
If the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security cannot control crime in their own constituencies with their people they know, how do they expect us to believe that they can control crime for the rest of us? They can do nothing to impact crime in their small constituencies. And then the Prime Minister tells us that the Minister of National Security is working with due speed with the police to do something about their strategies which have not been implemented.
Dr. Minnis called on his troops to stand up against the PLP, its intimidation, and its all-for-them policies. Well, the Democratic National Alliance also weighing in on the 2-year anniversary of the PLP's 5-year term in office. The party's deputy chairman, Ethric Bose, convinced that no matter how bad this government is, the last Ingram administration was the worst. Still, Mr. Bose believes the only reason the PLP won in 2012 was because the party sold Bahamians a dream they clearly could not afford.
We elected this administration because they appeared like the dream team. They presented a lot of hope. And, well, maybe now that you look back at it, it was smoke and mirrors, but they failed to deliver on things they could have delivered on. Brave Davis, the Minister of Works, he walked with us, he prayed with us, he marched with us, he protested with us about those roads. Bradley Roberts, the chairman of the PLP, he got on the radio and TV and he promised that the PLP was going to turn those roads back and the grove would be restored. And they failed to do so.
DNA chairman Andrew Wilson maintains that the PLP and FNM are two sides of the same coin. He added that there are families that have gotten strategic and have placed members in each political camp so as to never lose a grip on the country.
And so now you find the ruling families have divided themselves, the ruling families, the Maynards, the Butlers, all of them. The Johnsons.
I didn't know we had ruling families in the
Well, we do now.
Okay.
We do now because they took the advice of the father of the nation and they separated, and some went to the PLP, some went to the FNM, and so collectively the same interest has been ruling this country for the last 40 years.
The two men were appearing as guests on the Love 97 Daily Talk Show Issues of the Day with host Wendell Jones. While having heard from the government, the official opposition, and the DNA, our news team took to the streets to get feedback from a few Bahamians on what the government has accomplished since taking office.
If I grade the PLP government now, I would really give them an F. They really failed the Bahamian people. they give a lot of vain promises, make you believe that there was pie in the sky. When they hit the ground, they would hit the ground running. Apparently, it seems like they ain't hit the ground yet, because I ain't see no running.
They get after me. I vote for them, but they get after me. If you want to see a politician right now, you have to make an appointment, right? But when they campaigning, you don't have an appointment. They walk up in your doorstep and knock on your door and trot inside. Said the same, made empty promises. Get voting. Not saying that.
You know, politician or ain't nothing could help us don't believe in the promises they make us. They only could try, and they can help their mommy and their daddy and their Grammy, their wife or their sweetheart first, and then they may try to look at you. Okay, so I can't even grade them. I don't want to grade them because I ain't gonna give them a grade nowhere by F.
I would say B, or even a B+, because they're trying to make things right. But you know, the world now is going through a lot of changes. We just came out of an economic crisis, and you know, unemployment is high. And it's difficult right now, globally. But from what I see, you know, the guys, they have 2 years in office, and they need some more time to bring things into fruition.
I give the PLP A, capital A. Why? Well, A for doing nothing. A plus for not being able to efficiently manage the crime problem in Nassau and Freeport. I give them A for massive unemployment.
Now, while there's a lot of talk about what the government has done at this point, it's also worth asking whether the F&M has been an effective opposition. Has it met your expectations? Here's the response of at least 2 callers into Love 97's daily talk show Issues of the Day.
They always blame, but not try to cooperate and work together like the American policy, or what you call a mature system. Help. We're really trying to work together. What will happen when the F&M wins the next election? Anything that you guys find, there's no transparency in the country. You guys have all of this information at your hand. You win the election, the next election, you can sit back and look at contracts and look at this and look at that, but nothing happens. You guys don't follow through on anything. You don't try to convict anybody, and that is the issue that we have in this country. We allow the slackness to just be so inbred in this country, and it's never going to change. We need a government that is going to take real action.
You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
KFC Nassau's value deals have all your favorites, starting at $2.99. Try a 1-piece chicken and biscuit, our spicy zing sandwich, or our 6-piece spicy bites. Try our famous bowl with bites, famous rice bowl with bites, 4 spicy or spicy barbecue wings, add a small fries and a 16-ounce drink, or enjoy an 8-piece thigh and leg meal with your choice of 2 sides. Value has never tasted so good.
ESC Distributors Wholesale, the experienced beauty suppliers, has everything you need to look your best, feel good, and enhance your beauty. Soaps, creams, lotions, and oils in top name brands, including those sought-after bedazzled products. ESC Distributors has facial powders, matte and shimmer eyeshadows, and luscious lip glosses. And for your hair fancy, an exciting array of hair and hair products. ESC Distributors Wholesale, Nassau's premier beauty suppliers. Soldier Road, opposite NCA, 394-0819.
It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. It's not too late to build yours. Weather the storm with fidelity.
Here at URCA, we are implementing new consumer protection regulations. These are the direct result of consultation with you, the Bahamian public. We have traveled throughout the islands, presented our recommendations, and incorporated your feedback before enacting these regulations. The regulations address issues like the quality of your services, consumer complaints, billing and credit management, knowing what your customer contract entitles you to and what it obliges of you, and accuracy in advertising. We've given operators until the end of June to comply fully with these regulations. regulations. That includes your telephone, internet, and cable TV providers. At IRCA, a part of our job is to advance public interest. These regulations are here to protect you, the consumer.
Welcome back. A stark warning today from Montague MP Richard Lightbourne that national insurance is headed for broke. What's driving this, he says, is the Christie administration's wild spending. Corville Pike from Tonight reports that despite the government's insistence that NIB's finances are solid, the opposition MP believes both the board and the Bahamian people are on shaky ground.
Montague Member of Parliament Richard Lightbourne raising concern about the spending habits of the Christie administration, particularly as it relates to the National Insurance Board. The board is lending the government $20 million to construct a new building expected to house the Ministry of National Security. Mr. Lightbourne warns, though, that this kind of spending is driving NIB, meant to be a safety net for thousands of Bahamians, into the ground.
Announced that is what National Insurance is going to do. They're going to construct a new building for government. So that is what is happening to the funds of national insurance, and that is why you're going to find that when you get down the road a few years that there's no money in national insurance to pay for any of these things. So actuarians have said national insurance will be broke within 20 years.
But National Insurance Minister Shane Gibson says the board's investments have been sound, and he maintains that NIB's fiscal health remains strong.
When National Insurance construct buildings on behalf of the government of the Bahamas, there's no exposure to National Insurance. The exposure to the government. So it gives people the impression that, for example, if National Insurance owns a building that they're occupying and they renovate it, that money comes out of the administrative expense. When they build a building on behalf of the government, that money is paid for by the government and the people of the Bahamas. So there's no exposure in terms of risk of any money for national insurance. None. That is a good investment. As a matter of fact, the actuary will tell you that that is the best investment national insurance have. They yield the most return. So for the number to say that he is totally misleading the public.
Mr. Lightbourne, still not convinced, accuses the government of playing fuzzy math.
The constant use of the funds to acquire properties, which I would question whether they're a good investment. In addition, you're making the government further in debt. It's simply a way of borrowing money without effectively adding to the national debt, because you're not going out and you're borrowing money from a bank. You're borrowing it from national insurance. I don't think that shows up as a national debt.
The Christie administration has awarded a contract to Holiday Industrial Builders to construct the new building on John F. Kennedy Drive. Holiday Industrial Builders was previously awarded a $5.8 million contract to construct the Attorney General's office on John F. Kennedy Drive back in 2004. However, the Ingram administration terminated the contract in 2008. Corville Pike from JCN News.
F&M Chairman Darren Cash and his attorney Carl Bethel appeared in Senior Supreme Court Justice John Isaac's chamber this morning, where they spoke with a representative from the Attorney General's office in hopes of amicably resolving an issue that's pitted the chairman against the Commissioner of Police and the Attorney General. Mr. Cash immediately took legal action following what he claims is the unlawful search and seizure of his property, namely files, documents, computers, and cell phones. The items were allegedly taken in connection with investigations into matters related to the Bank of the Bahamas. Mr. Cash's wife is reportedly an employee of the BOB, which has been the subject of quite a few stories that have appeared in the Punch tabloid, alleging some wrongdoing on the part of the government as it relates to loans and other financial issues at the bank.
The intended plaintiff, Mr. Darren Cash, and all other parties who may have been affected in any way by the temporary seizure of those items under the search warrant, that only information related to the particular matter being investigated will be in any way used, retained, or disclosed by the police, so that any personal, business, or political matters will not be in any way abused by the authorities. We've agreed on a framework that we are going to work on to provide that necessary assurance and hopefully to bring closure to this very distressing matter.
Mr. Bethel assured that his client is a law-abiding citizen who is fully prepared to assist authorities with any investigations into any matter. Meantime, Mr. Cash, who was supported by his wife and colleagues, said winning this fight is one for all Bahamians.
This experience has stiffened my resolve to get engaged in public service because, as I said to my F&M family last night and to the Bahamian people, my name may have been on the document, but this is not about me. It is about the foundations of our institutions in this country. And I have seen numerous instances where there are opportunities for us to improve and strengthen those institutions. And once this matter plays out, will double my effort to work to strengthen our institutions, to really make this country a great country, a nation of laws rather than a nation of men.
The two sides are expected back in court on May 14th. Union leaders appear to be gaining momentum towards a possible mass shutdown of services across the country. The Trade Union Congress held a rally of their own in a move to get all labor unions on board for the cause. Our Kyle Walkie was there. He has the details.
Dozens of union leaders turned out to St. Gregory's Parish Hall last night in an effort to bring all labor unions together to begin the buildup to a possible labor shutdown across the country. President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Reverend Dr. Ranford Patterson, says for too long, Bahamians have been unable to come together for anything other than politics.
I am personally, but many of you have a lot of faith. And all the unions, you have a lot of faith. You have more faith than me in the Bahamian people when it comes to standing up for what we believe is right. We would talk on the talk shows all day. This room should be full with people. People should be standing around the wall. When it comes time for us to stand up for the things that we need to stand up for, remember, politics is only 5 years at a time. But you are a worker forever. And you must be willing to stand and take a stand for what you believe is right. And it doesn't matter which political party is in power.
Michelle Dorset, head of the Commonwealth Union of Hotel Workers, says she can't begin to express her level of disappointment in what labor has come to in the Bahamas.
My brothers and sisters, this is no time to put politics nor pettiness. This is our time to stand together and unite. The government is a failure today was nonsense of the press. What the government called upon today. The workers are suffering. We need to let them know and send a strong message, man. Enough is enough.
Now, throughout the night, one thing was common in all speeches, and that was that the Department of Labor is a failure. Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson even went as far as to call both the Minister of Labor and the Director of Labor impotent.
As officers, how could the government of the Bahamas, how could the government say or agree that an officer of a registered trade union cannot access its members? Then I realized what is happening at Sanders. I understand Sanders officers cannot go to its members. And the Minister of Labor and the Director of Labor seem to be impotent. And you know when you're impotent, you know what happens.
The union leader says if the government does not fix all of their issues as soon as possible, then they will have to proceed with their plans of shutting down services in the country. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, that wraps up this segment of our news. The latest on sports and weather up next.
Pretty boy, pull over.
Hey, Miss Susie, what you saying?
I have tires for this platty wheel truck here. Any and all sizes. Don't know. Epic over there. I have tires for this chutney. Does it look like you have them in your shoes for these?
Epic Fire Trail is open 7 days a week. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Look at that fancy contraption. Plop that big truck tire off and on quick. And it ain't all jump up. And you can turn around easy and plenty space.
Well, Miss Susie, you traveling?
Be quiet. Just
Smile for the camera.
This is your smartphone on 4G. And this is your smartphone with the scorching fast data speeds of 4G LTE. LTE is 5 times faster than 4G, so you get the music you want, well, now. And buffering? Forget it. Stream your movie non-stop from the moment you press play. LTE offers a whole new mobile data experience that isn't just 5 times faster, but also 5 times smoother and 5 times better. Experience mobile data speeds in a way that will change your life forever with LTE. Live the experience. BTC every day.
If you could see the inside of your engine running on Shell Helix Ultra, you'd see how active cleansing technology really works. Continuously cleaning and protecting your engine. Shell Helix Ultra with active cleansing technology. Performance you can see.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening Sports. It's being brought to you by Facades Men's Fashion on Blue Hill Road South. Mark the date down, December 24th. The event, the Bahamas 2014 Bahamas Bowl. The venue, the new Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. On Tuesday in Palm Beach Square, a joint press conference with the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and the principals of Conference USA and the Mid-American Conference stamped their approval on the biggest NCAA football bowl game to be played outside of the United States. The game is scheduled to start at noon and it will be carried live on ESPN television. In preparation for the high school relays this Friday and Saturday that will serve as the dry run for the IAAF World Relays later this month, the local organizing committee has arranged for a Bahamas High School Relays motorcade and pep rally. The motorcade and pep rally will take place Thursday, that's tomorrow, starting at 4 p.m., and then they'll end up at the Arawak Key for celebrations. They're going to start at the new Thomas A. Robinson Stadium, end up at Arawak Key for the pep rally. And at that time, they will announce the athletes that have been named to the Bahamas team for the IAAF World Relays. Also on Thursday, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Dr. Daniel Johnson, will hold his weekly press conference to update the media about the upgraded security measures at the stadium. The New Providence Softball Association's 2014 season will begin tomorrow night, Thursday night, at the Bankers Field in the Blue Hill Sporting Complex. On opening night, they'll start with the presentation of championship rings to the men and women's champions, the Sigma Brackets, and the Honored Sporting Lounge Hitmen. And then once the league is officially opened, the first game up will feature the Sigma Brackets taking on the Sigma Wildcats. In the second half of the doubleheader on opening night, the Honored Sporting Lounge Hitmen, the defending men's champion, will open up against the DK Smokers. They'll also have action on Saturday night when it'll be Ladies' Night. The first 50 ladies will get a flower, and 6 females will be honored for their contributions to the development of the sport. The ladies will have the night off because it's the night before Mother's Day. They'll only play men's games on Saturday night. From the Grand Bahama Flag Football League, Week 4 from the 2014 season, the Lady Enforcers beat the High Rock Stingers, Westminster Runners over the Sands Bear Squad, Piranhas from Freeport, the Freeport Piranhas, 6-0 over the Playtime Sports Invaders. The Bahama Rock Excavators turning back the FCP Stackers 24-13. Grand Bahama Shipyard Wreckers over the ISS Marines 18-6. The Lady ISS Marines turning back the MLM Eagles 14-6. And the Royal Bahamas Police Force Enforcers 12-6 over the Zorpus Destroyers. After 4 weeks, the Bahamas Rock Excavators lead the men's division with a 4-0 record, followed by Freecon Alliance second with a 3-0 record. In the women's division, the Lady Enforcers and the ISS Lady Marines, they're tied at the top, both with a 3-0 record. No games in the Grand Bahama Flag Football League this weekend. No games in the Bahamas Flag Football League either. They'll both take off for Mother's Day and return with play on May 18th. And the 38th ranked player in the Bahamas Top 50 National Basketball Rankings came out last night, midnight. Number 38, Shamar Martin. He's an unattached college student. He's ranked number 10 in his class. 23-year-old, 6'9" Shamir Martin, the 38th ranked basketball player, high school college age player in the country. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening Sports. Once again, sports is being brought to you by Facades Men's Fashion on Blue Hill Road South.
The FML group of companies, whose owner and the CEO is Craig Flowers, is making waves in many parts of this region as he has received government approval for the establishment of gaming platforms in the Turks and Caicos Islands, Bermuda, and now in Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
The team that we have here in Haiti has gone above and beyond my expectations. I'm very pleased with the way things have gone. It certainly taught me a great deal with this type of reception, and I'm going to take a lot from it as I go back home and give a lot of thought to it.
With FML Group of Companies, everyone wins.
For that sophisticated, silky smooth look, Bedazzled gives you Ultra Double Platinum 100% tangle-free human hair. Bedazzled Ultra Double Platinum. Full of body, full of life. For that perfect blend, Ultra Double Platinum, it's the world's best human hair. It's Bedazzled. Available at the Beauty Shack, Soldier Road, opposite NCA.
The weather is brought to you by Bedazzled 100% tangle-free human hair, distributed by the Beauty Shack.
Good evening, and this is your JCN Evening weather. First look at a surface chart. On the surface chart, the high pressure to the north of the islands continues to dominate the weather over the islands. Lovely weather, some strong breezes though is creating a ridge, so therefore some windy conditions. And to you swimmers, we ask you to exercise caution or stir the water because of the risk of high rip currents over the northern eastern shores. Stir the water for the next couple of days as these windy conditions continue into the weekend. In your satellite look, you can actually see very little clouds on the island. Still have some of the clouds to the south of the inaugural Turks and Caicos Islands at the old frontal boundary. But for the most part, lovely weather with windy conditions over the next several days. In your marine forecast, you do have a caution posted. Those winds east at 15-20 knots, seas 47 feet. Your tides, you can expect a low tide at 9:07 tonight. The next high tide comes to 3:16 tomorrow morning. Sunrise be 6:29 in the morning, set to even at 7:44. UV index 8, the water temperature 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the moon phase first quarter. Weather night, another lovely night store weather-wise, necklace skies, you look going down to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, another lovely day, sunny, breezy, and on the warm side, one ruler brief passing shower by late afternoon, high temperature 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And you find a weather look, lovely weather into Sunday, sunny skies, windy conditions, temperature in the upper 80s at daytime, lower 70 at night time. We expect some increase in cloudiness because a little air of low pressure formed somewhere in the southeastern islands and that moved towards the northeast, and that will cause some cloudiness over the Bahamas on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. That puts her up on JCN Evening weather. Godfrey Burnside.
The weather is brought to you by Bedazzled 100% tangle-free human hair, distributed by the Beauty Shack. With that, we end our news this evening. From all of us here at JCN News, have a wonderful and safe evening, everyone.
Take that mess from off the wall.